Action tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Hear the Ravens call on Sirius 158 XM 380 or the Commanders call on Sirius XM NFL Radio Channel 88 and on the SXM app, included with all our trials and popular plans.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice.
Medical bills or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-670-8833. 800-670-8833.
Quarterback Jalen Hurts, and you're listening to Sirius XM NFL Radio Channel 88.
Driven on. Toy grabs it. Spain wins the World Cup.
On the pitch.
Panico against Callender will shoot with his right. Takes a deep breath. Approaches it. Panico towards the right. And Callender saves. And Miami have won their first ever trophy. They take League's Cup in the shootout.
You heard them all right here on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app. Never miss a moment.
Hi, it's Megyn Kelly. On the Megyn Kelly Show, for the first time, I'm bringing you my honest opinions. Back in my TV days, I wasn't really allowed to do that. Now, I'm unleashed, and we're not afraid to touch all the third rails. For us, what matters most is you, the audience, and truth, no matter where it leads us.
To hear the Megyn Kelly Show on Sirius XM Triumph, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly. Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Lionel Messi has joined Major League Soccer, and every time he takes the pitch, you can experience his brilliance on Sirius XM. Saturday at 7:30 Eastern, hear Messi and Inter Miami take on the New York Red Bulls.
Messi's going to be like the Beatles here, man. Everywhere they go.
It's Messi Mania, and it's on Sirius XM FC, Channel 157, and the SXM app.
Messi, it is magisterial best. Get the SiriusXM app and listen on your phone when you get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
This is Trey Anastasio from Fish.
Fish is known for legendary live performances.
The thing that I like the most is that everybody says yes to every idea.
And on-stage improvisation.
When I walk on stage, I've trained myself to go completely blank.
Dive into their weird and wonderful world with exclusive commentary and shows hosted by band members.
There's a lot more preparation than might be seen, but there's also a lot more abandon than might be believed.
Fish Radio, Channel 29. To hear this channel, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. and hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, and the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. I want to say what a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! You know, I like trying to bring the neighborhood together at 2 o'clock, but I forgot it should be 2 o'clock p.m. and not 2 o'clock a.m., if that makes sense to you. You can follow Big C Sports on a beautiful, I gotta say it this way because I keep it real. I got a brother who I want to wish him happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anthony. Happy birthday to you. I wish you many more. That's my young brother Anthony, who oftentimes when I'm writing with him, he'll spit snuff in my water bottle without telling me about it. I got you back, Anthony. Love you, man. What a beautiful day. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 28 podcast applications all over the universe. You can find us on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict. I'm telling you, Pod Chaser. You can also find us on Amazon. Just got pulled up by Amazon earlier this month. And then you can also find us on Good Pods. Really do appreciate the work of Big C Sports. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Beatpod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic, and the only one that used to scare me, but now it doesn't, and then it does again. It's allfades.ai. Give that some praise. That means the robots are taking over, and when they take over, they can also be trained. But I have a special guest coming on today by the name of Brother Allende, very smart, cerebral, intelligent, erudite man, and I really do appreciate him. I want to give him praise before I go into Big C Pods and come back to him. But I want to say you can also follow Big C Sports streaming, OTT on 4 TV platforms, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. I want to tell you, I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he also said, let there be light. I want to pay homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, they will stand on their head to get our veterans some help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. I know I do. We all need somebody to lean on. And what did Teddy say? He said it's so good leaning on somebody with somebody leaning back. Teddy knew a lot of things about leaning on people, if that makes sense to you. I want to say I really do appreciate God. I love giving God praise. I'm the only sports podcaster in the universe on 27 podcast applications. And I'm telling, actually 28 podcast applications. My show is a little bit different. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. And all use more laughter. And then I'm telling you, the commercials are done. I do all my commercials before the show. I go nonstop, 0 to 60, if that makes sense to you. The stats are provided, the storytelling. I even do my play-by-play. Runners on first and third. The count's full. The pitch, curveball, swung on, hit deep. Left field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little Riz. I love to sing. The girls love the long ball. and men love to hit deep. Really do appreciate that. Then the show is uploaded to 28 multiple podcast platforms out of New York City. And I'm in Dim Deer Hills, California. And then I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the day at Salem Media. All's fair in love and war. I really do appreciate everybody. And, of course, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. I will do that in just a moment. But in the meantime, I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. Last Friday, I had the #1 NIL sports agent in the universe, the president of Checkmate Sports, Everett Davis. They have more NIL contracts than anybody. He's a top agent in the United States at creating sports agents. I want to give him praise. And then today we have Brother Allende. You don't want to miss it. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. When I come back, I'm going to have Brother Allende calling into Big C Sports. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, man. I love what I do. It's amazing. Your show's amazing. Let me see. Plug this in. Brother Allende. Let me make sure I got you. Fun. Let me see.
You have 1 new voice message and 40 saved messages. New message.
This is Kenneth with UNO's refund.
Message marked.
People always call me, hey, this is Kenneth with
Big C!
Brother Allende, how you doing, sir?
You know, brother, if I were any better, I'd be you.
Okay, yeah, right. I appreciate it, man. I'm just testing your microphone. We'll start in about 15 seconds, and then I'm going to go down your edification. Of course, man, you're impressive. You are something else. You are something else, man. Really do appreciate you. So I'm going to step aside, stay on the phone, be in a quiet spot. Let's have fun. And all I ask is that you call me Big C when I'm on the program, and because that's how I get paid. That makes sense.
Right.
All right, we're going about 5 seconds.
Fantastic.
And give me the same Big C introduction that you had when I called you, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
You have nothing.
All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 28 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming live on 4 TV applications, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon, and Fire TV. I got a great man that I have on the show. Some people say he has the voice of James Earl Jones. Very smart man, erudite, very well learned, and I appreciate having him on. You know, we had 100-degree weather in California last week, and then this week it rained and stormed and an earthquake in Southern California. But they say the sun shall come out tomorrow, and we have Brother Allende on the call. Brother, welcome to the show.
Big C!
I appreciate it. I want to share something with our audience. You know, robots can't stop us from doing anything. And people say we need to get rid of people and get into artificial intelligence, but nothing stops us if that makes sense to you. If you give me about 5 years to edify you, because that's what it seems like it's going to take, Brother Allende, I really do appreciate you. Born and raised in 1965 in the beautiful city of Oakland, California, in the Bay Area. Went to high school and college, St. Mary's College and UC Berkeley. And Brother Allende has been a counselor, listen up, young people, a teacher. It's important to teach. And then an investor, which is what he's doing now as his profession for the last 30 years. He didn't just start this last year. For the last 30 years, he's lectured on all aspects of African history, life and culture, from antiquities to economics. In the last 2 years, he's spoken in 81 cities. So you know he has a lot of frequent flyer miles. He's been emphasizing over 1,500 thriving settlements and African people have had in this country, on this land, for the last 200 years. Settlements that were burned and pillaged by white terrorists. And sometimes people don't want to talk about that when we talk about reparations. We deserve the repair, and there's more than one way to do that, if that makes sense to you, Mr. Allende.
It makes totally good sense.
Let me ask you this question. When people look at us as black men, for the most part, they say, man, you play football? You play basketball? You must be a baseball player. But we come from a diaspora that's very smart. All that began on the African continent. We know that. And there's a lot of talk about reparations now in the United States, especially in California, that been mandated by California Governor Gavin Newsom. But I want to ask you, Brother Yende, what should be the solution to the African condition here in America now?
Easy answer, ownership. We must own every aspect of our community. The grocery stores, the schools, the businesses, our own militia, our own destination points for our children, our own family, our own justice system, our own banks, our own grocery stores.
Yes.
If we don't own those things, then we still become victimized by other folks. And you cannot say reparations in one voice.
Yes.
And then turn around and give up the wealth that you have, or don't try to establish that wealth for yourself. Other people should not be responsible for repairing your condition.
Yes.
We should.
You know, you're very smart. One of the reasons I love talking to you is because you do kind of sound like Harry Edwards. I think you guys know each other back in the day. But I feel... But you know, when I talk to you, I like the open dialogue. You and I, we rarely talk about sports. We rarely talk about, man, what do you think of Golden State? Oh, what do you think of the Niners? Man, can you believe that the Oakland A's are going to move to Las Vegas? We rarely have those conversations. And so based on that, we can talk about anything. But in your opinion, Brother Yende, does it make sense for us to ask for reparations while participating in our own self-destruction that people don't want to acknowledge? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, a lot of us are doing it. We have real estate agents that are complicit with the bank to sell us and displace us out of our communities.
Yeah.
To undervalue our homes, to underappraise our homes.
Yeah.
Lenders, black lenders, who are who refuse to give loans to people who want to move into Oakland, but have no problem giving loans for them to live outside of Oakland, Richmond, or Vallejo.
Yes.
This is stuff that we're doing to each other. And those of us who are selling our home so we can live in what we think is a better neighborhood, you're going about that wrong. You're giving up all of your wealth so you can be somewhere else. What sense does it make to beg for reparations when you're giving away wealth? That makes absolutely no sense. We have to understand that in order for us to be successful in building wealth, we have to keep and build upon the wealth that we have.
That's very well said. And as we are talking, again, this is Big C Sports, Charlton Curry, talking to Brother Yende, is an intelligent man. I will say even a self-made man. He's a very learned individual. And he's a young man. Yeah, he may sound like James Earl Jones, but he's nowhere near the age of James Earl Jones. And that's my opinion. At the same time, when you think about it, and let me just say this, because it's a conversation and everybody has an opinion. I think reparations is one solution. Obviously, getting grants for homes and free health care, tax-free base. We couldn't even earn money from 1619, 1865. Why are we being taxed on money we get now? We gave away free wealth to white Americans, and our ancestors never got paid for it. But let me get into today's topic also. How, in your opinion, Brother Yende, how do we educate our youth and others about the true American history? In spite of, there's some white reluctance they call the woke society, especially down in Florida. They don't want to talk anything about black history. And I think in about 26 states, you can actually be fired for talking about black history. How do we educate our youth in the light of that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Big C, for asking that very important question. We have to use these avenues like social media to educate our folks. If we would educate our young people and our older folks by using social media, and rather than talking garbage that makes absolutely no sense, we could educate our own and show them what we had done for 200 years after slavery, where we had, again, our own businesses, our own schools. We controlled that, and having our own communities was only destroyed by terrorists that did not like the fact that we had our own. So our thing is, we can't be hypocritical to say one breath that reparations are what we need, when in fact we've given up our own history that we've created. We don't want to come together and do the very things that could maintain the wealth and the history that we've created. So it becomes a situation where you have to ask yourself, am I still a slave, still reliant upon my enemy to repair my damage? If that's the case, then you will continue to be where you are. Am I going to be dependent upon a black doctor who tells me to go and get a shot that isn't a vaccination, but it further kills people? Am I going to be dependent upon police who have for years killed people, raped women, done more crime in our community than any gang and anyone else? Or am I going to be dependent upon these pimps that say, pray, vote for me and I'll set you free? I've never voted. And I've never voted intentionally, because not one single thing has come from voting for Africans in this country. Not one. And those of you who care to look it up or argue with it, I'm there for that. I've never voted. I've never had anything to do with this push and nonsense. When Oakland got in the habit of having pimps, preachers, police, and politicians telling them what to do, they got in the habit of becoming dependent. And the biggest dependency was the N-word. The N-word plagued us like a disease, and we internalized it, becoming the biggest N-word city in the world. And when I say N-word, it's not what you think. The worst N-word in the world is nonprofit. When you do anything that's nonprofit, where other people control your money, control what your money can do, when they can control how you spend your money, you are not building wealth. And I've never heard of a black nonprofit building wealth for African people ever in the history of this country. More so than just as much as I haven't heard of voting building wealth for Africans in this country. So what we have to do is take control of our communities, and not by voting in somebody that they put in to office, but it has to be a situation where we control our politics within our community, and it has to end with wealth. No programs, no pat on the back organization, none of this nonsense. It has to end with us controlling the wealth in our community.
You know, this again, one of the reasons you keep it raw, and I love that about you, no cookie cutter solution, and you're also willing to point the finger. We point the finger at somebody that's pointing back. We got to look at ourselves too. We can't ask people that we feel that have a history of being antithetical to blackness or African Americans or people of color to ask that person for the solution. At the same time, we got to count on ourselves, and that's like W.E.B. Du Bois. I appreciate your thoughts on that too. And so when we talk about certain award shows, I know oftentimes people want to look at us for touchdowns and home runs and hitting 3-point plays, but you know, just what you said too, when it comes to even some of our award shows, I don't hear much about the Marvin Gayes or the Luther Vandross or the world, the Teddy Pendergrass or the Lena Horns or the Patti LaBelle's. A lot of our young people now, we sing about genocide and self-destruction because they get paid for that, but that's our fault. Don't you think? Your thoughts?
Oh, well, my thing is, if you had, and I'm glad you asked, Big C, thank you, brother.
Yes.
If you had a generation of African people starting in 1950,
yes,
who have been tearing down their young people for having new and innovative ideas.
Yes.
What else do you expect to come out of that? You had a generation of leaders that pushed us into a situation that was worse than slavery. And yes, I'm talking about integration.
Yeah.
Integration was the worst trick, as Jane Meredith said. Integration was the worst trick played on any group of people in the history of this country, because we began to rely on other people.
Yeah.
The black family was destroyed, and this was done by a generation before them.
Yeah.
So what did we expect to come out of our young people except resentment and no respect for the black man?
Yes.
Because the black man was put in jail. He wasn't given a job.
Yeah.
He was red-lined out of starting his own business.
Yeah.
There were drugs that put in the community. These young people are just a reflection of what we, those who came before them,
yes,
gave them. We can't make it their fault,
right,
because they are looking at it for what it is, and then when they say it, we get mad just because we were afraid to say it, because we were cowards, and we figured we needed to integrate with people. That's our fault. So anything that came out of this confusion that we caused between 1950 and 1990, that's on us. And our young people, for them to turn around all that confusion and make rap and other avenues ways of making money, ways that they can live this dream that they're looking for, whatever it is anything from that is our fault. It is on us to take responsibility for the damage we did. People are still repeating Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Black Power, Black Power. To hell with all of that. And I said it, yes. All that garbage never sustained anything. We don't have anything that is sustainable. Nothing out of what Martin Luther King said, Malcolm X, the Black Power movement, voting, Black Lives Matter. None of this is sustainable. Yet we wonder why our young people are so angry, why our young people are so... We tell them to go to college. Not a single thing that's coming out of college has done anything for African people. These churches don't do anything but confuse our children. That's why our young people are not going to these churches, nor should they, because the only person in there is an ex-pimp who keeps talking the same nonsense that we've been hearing for years. And that's what we sold our kids. We sold them a bill of goods, which is not just stands on nothing. Monuments built on nothing.
Right.
So that's why our young people are the way they are. We created this because we believed in the devil. And as long as we continue to do that and continue to pass this on, we will be slaves, and those who come after us will be slaves.
You know, one of the reasons I like about you and talking to you is there's no cookie cutter answer. And so many times today, in today's world, we don't have to agree on everything. We can agree and disagree as a people, as different ethnic groups, etc. But no matter what's happened since 1619 to now 2023, we're still, as a group, as a monolithic group, if I can use that word, we're still on the bottom. We're still the most resistant when it comes to progress. And even though affirmative action has just been killed, the Black Wall Street was created before affirmative action. There was more black-owned business before affirmative action. And as we migrated into the mainstream workforce, we became more marginalized. Last hired, first fired. People don't want to hear that. We use sports to mollify people and to maybe make people numb to what's really going on. But the black wealth gap is real. But the sports figures are propped up on a pedestal because they signed $100 million or $200 million contract. Most people don't have that. So, brother, I do appreciate your candor. But I want to ask you this before I run up on the pause. Why is it so important? I think you already talked about it, but faith comes by hearing. In your opinion, why is it so important for us to restore the African family? And now when you say black, people want to say every group out there, but the African family, why is that so important in your opinion, and how do we do it?
Oh, see, for asking the question. First of all, we have to brainwash ourselves the opposite way. First of all, we're not minorities. We're 91% of the world.
Yes.
Second of all, we're not low-income community. Our 13 million people create more than the GDP of those islands that are around the world.
Yes.
We are not murderers. First of all, 5 million of the people who commit the crimes are from other communities, not ours. Even they like to lie and blame it on us.
Yes.
We're not niggers. The reason we're not niggers is because we don't own that word, first of all. Number two, we don't even know what it means. And number three, those who self-hate themselves, that's up to them, but that's not the 99% of us.
Yes.
We are not American because we don't have anything to do with the control of economic power in this land. And unless you do, you can't call yourself a name that doesn't belong to you.
Wow.
African people have been on this land 50,000 years before white folks, 50,000 years before slavery.
Yes.
We are not people of color because there is nothing about our color. That is something made by the Europeans to address us. That's not who we are. We're not at risk. We're not impoverished. We're not black on black crime. That nonsense. They don't call white on white crime. Again, 5 million crimes from the white community, but they're not called white on white crime.
Right.
They'll say we can't work together. Please. We've built this thing all these years by working together.
Yes.
Nobody wants to acknowledge what Eddie Murphy has done. Nobody wants to acknowledge what Bill Cosby has done. The only thing they want to do is blame black men for doing things that 100 million white men have done before them.
Yes.
R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Muhammad Ali. We could go on and on.
Yes.
Yet these brothers are only one, but yet 100 million white men before them have raped kids, have done all this stuff, but not seen a day in jail. We're not drug addicts. We're not criminals. We're not bitches. We're not Christians. We're not rapists. We're not lazy, and we're not ignorant. We have to stop spreading this nonsense that is not only untrue, but it's antithetical to everything we are. We are owners. We are doctors. We are lawyers. We are we are activists, we are judges, we are fathers, mothers, inventors, soldiers, firefighters, actors, athletes, garbage men, plumbers, bodybuilders, families, 91% of the world, and you call yourself a minority, you pass that nonsense on to your children.
Wow.
You make them inject themselves with poison and call it a vaccination. You are sick because you don't know who you really are. So that's the first thing. We must rid ourselves of these shackles that we have on our brain mentally, where we believe what our enemy tells us. That's the first step.
Yes.
And second of all, we have to teach our kids when they see the media constantly pushing on us, black man with white woman with black man, or whatever the nonsense is, we have to stop that and uplift this African woman.
Yes.
That's the problem. We're falling for this nonsense. I heard somebody say the other day, oh, I'm glad I married a white man because hopefully someday we won't have any color.
Wow.
That's mental illness.
That's crazy.
We want to maintain our African color. We want to maintain our African culture.
Yes.
It is not about us trying to make this world colorless. That's not our job. Our job is to build a strong African family, meaning love and respect our African man, love and respect our African woman. Teach our children the truth because, believe me, they were very intentional about breaking up the black man and woman.
Oh, I know.
Now they're very intentional about us not teaching our kids the truth. We have to stop this, turn it around, and continue to do the things that fortify us, because otherwise we're going to lose this war.
I tell you, that's, again, one of the reasons I love talking to you is because of your scholarly conversation in history. And there people might say, oh, that's not true. Well, just Google. All I tell people is Google everything. Everybody has their own opinion, but oftentimes history teaches the truth as opposed to making someone feel good. Just make me feel good. Come on and shuck and jive. Come on, talk about how big, strong, and fast somebody is. And there's an avenue for that too. But what I really do appreciate you, brother, in the last minute or so is that, number one, I'm able to have conversations with you about politics, conversations with you about real estate. We rarely talk about sports. But I know sports is a big player in the world because it brings people together where maybe religion and politics won't do that. So I kind of mix all of it together. But if I could have people say, if I could have you close out on one thing, like where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, because you've done so much, and you're still, I mean, you're still a young man. James Earl Jones' voice, but a lot younger. Okay, where can we? You know it's true, but where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Because you're a brilliant man.
Oh, I see myself. Thanks, Big C. I see myself like this. You know, when I was a child, there was one thing that Harry Edwards kept repeating: sports recapitulates society. Sports recapitulates society. And he's right. He's right, because what we have to do, just like we said, with sports and with anything else, we have to take the wealth from it and build. So, given that, I did that with real estate.
Yes.
Where I see myself is building around the world. I've got properties in Jamaica. I've got properties in the Bahamas. I got properties in Panama. I got properties in Africa. I got properties here in America. We have to take what we earn,
yes,
what we put into, and the worst thing, unfortunately, that happened to Oakland is we were the only city in the country to have a football team, a basketball team, and the baseball team within the same city limits.
Yes.
Playing at the same stadium, and not an inch of wealth has come out of that.
Wow.
And that's that. Now they're all gone.
Yeah.
And we're in a worse condition now than we were before. So where I find myself is, because they're going to have to take Oakland from my dead, cold-bloody hands.
Yeah.
I am going to stay here, continue to purchase property. I'm in the act now of purchasing 300 here in Oakland.
Yes.
So that I could sell them at a discount to Black families.
Yes.
So I'm going to continue economically, politically, socially, and otherwise to build Oakland, to keep wealth in Oakland hands.
Yes.
And you'll find me doing that until the very day I lay myself down to rest. So that is my plan until the day I die.
Well, Brother Allende, I'm telling you, from Oakland, California, not only a counselor, not only a teacher, not only a director, but an investor. And I hope to help you get the funding together to do those projects as well. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network. I'm going to hit what's called the Big C Applause. Brother Allende, I want to thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.
Big C!
I appreciate you, man. That's Brother Allende from Oakland, California. We have so much to talk about. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Applause, also known as the Big C Timeout. In other words, of the former Arnold Schwarzenegger California governor, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 28 podcast applications all over the universe. And that's streaming on 4 TV platforms as well. Really do appreciate that. That was Brother Allende, an activist, an investor, a teacher, an educator. That's that 81 city tour, really talking about black empowerment. And there are times when people, they don't want to hear the real truth. And sometimes medication tastes good when you put some sweetener in it, but he gives it to you raw. I really do appreciate him. And so many people that I'm being able to learn from and work with the Black National Black Wall Street Project. Really do appreciate that. And then Brother Allende from Oakland, California, one of the developers in Oakland, California, also helping him on the business side generate the funding for those projects to bring families back together. Isn't that something? I spent time in Oakland and growing up, and so did Brother Allende. Really do appreciate him. Well, now I'm going to tell you, because I always love working this in. Before I get into some talk about NFL football and what happened coming up with what I have, the power rankings with NFL football. Obviously, Major League Baseball is in the swing of things. And then we have NBA basketball. They already put out their schedule. But I want to make sure I'm working on a commercial. It's called Go, Go, Go. It's for T-Mobile. And I really do want that to come out soon. I'm having some conversations in the works with it. And everybody has their own opinion about it. But I got to tell you, because everybody has their own opinion about so many things, I have been working on this commercial that I think is going to go over well. I have a gentleman from Sony going to be talking to him about that too. And I just hope I can get it played if I learn how to work my electronics. Here it goes.
I think I'm recording.
See, that's part of it. I can't play the whole thing, but it's coming. In fact, I want to give that some praise because I'm trying to produce it and do my own show at the same time, and everybody has their own thoughts about how things are done. It's important. I want to see if I can get it done. I'm going to try it one more time, as I don't have a producer. First, give me some praise. Give me some praise. And here's a copy of the commercial that's I'm working on.
There you go now.
I think
See, I think that's amazing, and everybody has their own thoughts about how you do commercials. But I want to give that praise because it's played first live on Big C Sports Podcast, and I really do appreciate that. I'm going to tell you what I always tell you. When I deal with the Big C Sports Podcast, I love giving in praise to my family legacy, where I came from. Of course, my beautiful mother's side, my great-grandmother called her Mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. And then my beautiful great-grandfather called him Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player, known around his church buddies as making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. And saying, boys, stay out of that barn now. We were always having to get out of the barn. We try to give some moonshine to the chickens. At the same time, he can fix anything, planes, trains, and automobiles with his own hands. And then my beautiful grandmother called her Mud Deer, beautiful, loving, kind woman. She was a seer. She could look at a person oftentimes to tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Really do appreciate her, and she still helps me to this day. And then I'm telling you, my wonderful grandfather Hezekiah, another wonderful person, intelligent, a seer, could look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. She started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. I want to give mama praise. How many mothers have started a Head Start program and a food program, and they coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe? Always saying rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. In fact, at the church, everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. And at our restaurants, everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. And in fact, at home, everybody wanted Mama's cooking. She'd often say, son, how many plates have you had? And I say, plates are baby crap to what I want. I want my reparations now. I still think that's funny. And thank God she thought it was funny at times too. But I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Really do appreciate her. And then on my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, he had 2 churches in Oakland. He built the 3rd church in Central California. And with his own hands, he also owned 2 gas stations in Oakland, one on Bancroft, the other on Foothill. I remember he also owned 40 acres of land. Just talking to Brother Allende, a professor, a mentor, a motivator, an investor in the city of Oakland. My granddaddy owned 40 acres of land, and like the Emancipation Proclamation, where when President Abraham Lincoln promised black soldiers 40 acres and a mule for helping the Union win the Civil War. And unfortunately, when he was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson came along and vetoed the bill, and he gave the land back to the insurrectionists, the people that waged war against the country. But I think, and I understand what Brother Allende was saying about developing, because my grandfather was a wealthy man. He wasn't begging anybody to affirm his action. He just went out and did it. The same thing I'm doing with Big C Sports. You either lead, follow, or get out of the way, but make sure you're doing something every day. Really do appreciate him. And then my beautiful grandmother, Alberta Curry, working side by side with my grandfather with the 2 churches in Oakland, built the 3rd church in Central California, and also helped with the 2 gas stations in Oakland. Like Brother Allende is talking about, developing properties in Oakland for black Americans, not being gentrified and moved out into the inland valleys. Same thing has happened in San Francisco. San Francisco's population, black population, is less than 5% now. You couldn't have said that 2 decades ago, but gentrification, people have moved out. And it's always about who owns the land and controls the resources. It's about to happen again for black Americans when we get the reparations. And by reparations comes with owning and producing, if that makes sense to you. Really do appreciate my grandmother. I was 8 years old walking through a hallway to get some of her cookies, and she touched me on my forehead at about 10 o'clock at night. I said, what in the world is she doing up at 10 o'clock? She normally goes to bed at 8:30. And she said, are you looking for some of your cookies, young man? I said, cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing. I'm looking for my reparations. I thought that was funny. But the fact is, we're going to get reparations, and give that some praise. By any means necessary. It's coming. Because a lot of things that you heard from my special guest, Brother Allende, on the program, that may not be as sweet as you want to hear it. But the truth. We say, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. That's what they say when they say put your hand in the Bible. especially when people talk about the woke society. I really love where I come from. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we could all stay safe at night, always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. And I really do appreciate my dad. And then in the Air Force, my father's roommate was the late Al Freeman Jr., who played the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in one of my favorite movies, Malcolm X, that was written and produced by the great Spike Lee. And acted by my favorite actor, the great Denzel Washington. And Brother Allende, you do sound like James Earl Jones. And you know it. Really do appreciate it. And then, at the same time, my father always saying develop your mind to the highest extent. And then my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. A voracious reader, always saying go forward. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. I'm telling you, college graduate, 2 degrees, with honors in 3.5 years. She set up the very first interview for Big C Sports. It was back at Salem Media. It was with a football player. We went on from there to become the first time in the history of the United States of America for the NFL Monday Night Football to start broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They had never done it before until 2 black men in the crew started doing our thing. But you know what happened? Same thing Brother Allende talked about. They created some shenanigans. The word has it, if 2 N-words can do it, we can bring in some insurrectionists. And they did. Instead of supporting this, they tried to tear the show down. And they brought in Chad and Steve. And the show went away. Lost all the sponsorship. Now the producer, one of the producers that produced the show, when I called his phone, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I try to do as much as I can with Big C Sports Podcast, even though I've been having a little bit of static on platform because of the storms or whatever it is. I want to keep it real. When I call the producer that used to, he did the last commercial for Big C Sports. Listen to what happens when I call his number.
The subscriber you have dialed is not in service. If you feel you've received this message in error, please hang up and try your call again later.
That's a fact. I didn't want that to be the case, but that's what happened. And I'm still standing. Some of those same people said, man, you talk too much about politics. And now they don't even have a job. I heard a guy by the name, I'm going to say his name. His name is Boomer Esiason. He's one of the biggest critics of Colin Kaepernick when he said stop killing black people. When he took a knee to just make a stand against police brutality that happened often in inner cities, called the black codes and the pig laws. Boomer Esiason, he was one of many Caucasian broadcasters. Oh, I don't believe in taking a knee. And he was taking a knee because a military friend, a Marine man, said it'd be more respectful to the United States, to the soldiers. And what did I hear Boomer Esiason talking about just last night? On a late night show, he had a fighter from Russia. And he wasn't talking about sports. He was talking politics. Where did they get that from? Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God. I told you, I leave following it out the way. I don't thank anybody for from my action but God. I give God praise. But when I hear one of the NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, Boomer Esiason, had a Russian boxer on this program last night. He didn't talk about sports. If he did, it maybe up 10% of it. But the rest was about Ukraine. He wasn't talking about sports. Where did they get that from? I tell you, they've been following the example of Big C Sports because I speak the truth. You know, it's not for everybody. Some people want you to lie to them. Just make me feel good, but don't tell me the truth. Just lie. Go find other people and lie with them, if that makes sense to you. The truth may not always feel good, but at least it's healthy for you, and that's why I give God praise. I don't try to please people. I got out of the pleasing people business a long time ago. You either for me or against me. But if you don't come through God, I don't want you around anyway. And that's just the way it is. I praise God all the time, and I tell young people, give God praise. Don't worry about what people say. People can write a book on what they're going to do for you. Either do it or don't do it. I want to pay homage. I had the pleasure last Friday. I tell you, my show is different. I had on the #1 NIL sports agent in the United States of America last Friday. President Edward Davis, Checkmate Sports. I'll be working with him this year. And he talked about digital marketing coming to the future. And he's created more black sports agents than anyone else in the United States of America. But I also want to pay homage to what he talked about, why he got into the sports business. And this is for black men and women to listen, because there's been an attack on black people, especially black men, since 1619. And oftentimes people will tell you they love you, they appreciate your brother, God bless your brother, really do love your brother. Can you sign my autograph, brother? Can you sign my shirt, brother? And when you don't have a uniform on, sometimes they'll just tear you down. Look at the criminal justice system. I heard a doctor on television last night talking about fentanyl and that how they have to get more kids counseling for fentanyl. But Bill Clinton signed the crime bill, and at that time, Joe Biden, he signed on with it too. And that put black people in prison, incarcerated too many black Americans for the same stuff that white kids were doing. They didn't put white people in prison. And now that the fentanyl problem is mostly hurting white communities, they talk about counseling. They're not talking about incarceration. Think about that. How about expunge those records of people who were put in prison over petty crimes, where now they growing the stuff all over the state. Dispensaries everywhere. 90% of the people who get a license for a dispensary, they're Caucasian. You can Google it. I'm not making this stuff up. I want to go posthumously give praise to Eugene E. Parker. He was born in February 24th, 1956, and he passed on March 31st, 2016. When I asked Edward Davis what got him into becoming a sports agent, I mentioned Jerry Maguire, the movie Jerry Maguire, with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Tom Cruise and Lee Steinberg and Renee Zellweger. And Tom Cruise was made famous for saying, "Show me the money!" Just show him the money. And Edward Davis also been under the tutelage of Lee Steinberg, has learned some things growing up over the years too. But he was most, just like Brother Allende, he was more emboldened by the late Eugene E. Parker, was an American sports agent, known for representing the great primetime Deion Sanders. Oh, I just had another epiphany. And Emmitt Smith, two Hall of Famers. I was walking into I normally eat watermelon and baked chicken. And then collard greens. I mean, watermelon, baked chicken, and collard greens. So stereotypical. But it has more minerals and more zinc in it, and it's good for you. But I was walking into, I'm not going to only eat collard greens and watermelon and baked chicken. I was walking into a bread place, a pastry place. I'm not going to say their name until they give me some advertising money. But I was looking for a pastry. I'd already bought my coffee. And I saw this lady. She had a nice blue suit on. And I foolishly said, "Where are you from, Dallas? You're a Dallas cowgirl? This is 49er territory." And she laughed. She's probably 60-something years old. And she said, you remind me of a football player that played for the Cowboys." I said, "How about those Cowboys?" I said, "You mean the same Cowboys that the 49ers beat last year in the playoffs?" She said, "Playoffs?" But we laughed about it. And that woman said to me, beautiful black woman, she said, "Would you mind if I buy you a pastry?" I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "You have me at hello." She bought me a pastry. And I said, "What makes you want to buy me a pastry?" She said, "Because you have a good spirit." I've never met this woman in my life. But walking into a pastry shop, she paid for a pastry. All I said was, "Are you from Dallas with all that blue on? You in 49er territory." Just being silly. And she's retiring from the state of California. I don't know her name. I should have given her a business card, but I didn't even think about it. I was trying to sneak a pastry. But she said, you remind me of Emmitt Smith. I said, he's the NFL rushing all-time leader. I said, give him some praise. I think Emmitt Smith played at Scambia High School down in Pensacola, Florida, and went on to become a Florida Gator, and then a Dallas Cowboy. The rest was history. He also played in Arizona at a time at the end of his career. But he's known for, how about those Cowboys? The great Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. Got to get Jerry Jones on the Big C Sports Podcast. I want to get Jerry Jones on the Big C Sports Podcast and ask him, how about those Cowboys? And I want to get his opinion. But back to Eugene Parker, who got President Everett Davis of Checkmate Sports. He's the #1 agent in the United States for making black sports agents. And I got him on Big C Sports Podcast, and I'm going to be working with him. My goal in the next year is to bring on 100 agents. 100 athletes to sign under the Big C umbrella. That's going to help me control over $1 billion in sports contracts. And it's going to happen as clear as the sky is bluer. I already know it because God has aligned me with so many things that are making sense. You heard about Brother Allende building 300 houses in Oakland and helping him get the funding for that. That's Big C Sports. I'm not just sucking and jiving. I give God the praise, and the praise is coming true. Just like Eugene Parker, many other NFL athletes along with Deion Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Now, Parker was named by Black Enterprise magazine as one of the top 50 influential black Americans in sports. One of the top 50. You know what's also important about being one of the top 50? When you think about it, Big C Sports Podcast has more podcast platforms than any other podcaster in the United States of America. And you can Google it. Now I just need more money than any of those guys, if that makes sense to you. Give that some praise. I know Joe Rogan making $10 million a year. He's not on 29 platforms. He didn't have the top black agent at creating sports agent in the United States. He's not having one of the top land developers in California and Brother Allende on his program, and not knocking anybody. But I don't have robots propping me up. Everybody has their own style, and you don't have to like it. But you can't deny that it's real. And that's why, thank God, I just give God praise. But back to Eugene E. Parker. He was named by Black Enterprise magazine as one of the top 50 influential black people in sports. It was ranked 45th in the Sports Illustrated list of the top 101 most influential minorities in sports. And now Big C Sports is bringing on people that are known worldwide. Why do they talk to me on my program? I know a lot of people, I just don't name drop. But you're going to start seeing more of that this year. And for many people, Parker was known to be the first black American lawyer to pioneer into sports representation and went on to become one of the great American sports agents. Parker, known for his integrity, is the only sports agent with an official road name in his memorial. I want to give that some praise. I know oftentimes people look at a black man as, oh, you're an athlete, and are you big, strong, and fast, and how fast do you run, and all of those things. And there's nothing wrong with that because we're more than just linear thinkers. It's important. He was all second team Big Ten in media, 1976, and third team all Big Ten in coaches in 1976. He was a 5th round, 108th overall draft pick in the NBA draft 1978 by the San Antonio Spurs. He played forward. He went to Purdue 1974 through 1978. But I want to bring that on because with Big C Sports, I'm going to chronicle more successful black men and black women. Like that 9-series DNA. I want to make sure I do that. I want to encourage more people to just believe in your dream. You have a power in your voice. When God lets you hear somebody's voice, sometimes it's just the voice that carries you. I've heard that all my life. There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. My grandmother told me that in Oakland. I told Brother Allende, you sound a lot like James Earl Jones. He says, Big C. We all have something that we want to feel good about. And all I want to say is just be grateful. Give God praise no matter what's going on in your life. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on the Big C Sports Podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can sleep it off, you can walk it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car drunk. The life you save might be your own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble, with all you got to use. How can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat, because all these big sea burgers make me light on my feet, and that's why I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. You know anybody going through that garbage? I said pick up the phone and call 911. Things change and people change when the police show up. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Reparations now, reparations forever. As I always say that to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Say it 2 more times. Reparations now, reparations forever. Say it the 3rd time as if your team just won the game. Reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope you have a super fantastic day.